Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. I haven't filmed a video in weeks and it feels kind of weird to be back, honestly, but it was due to circumstances entirely out of my control, so basically there's nothing I could have done about it. That was self-explanatory, but whatever. I started a job. I work full-time. I'm working full-time until Christmas for sure. Beyond that, I'm not sure what things are going to be looking like, but it's meant that I literally haven't had a single chance to film like a thing. This is the first time in like 2.5 weeks that I'm actually able to be here, which is literally heartbreaking for me. Like every single day I go into work, I'm like, I think about YouTube. It's really so disheartening to have kind of like built this thing for myself, as in like my channel, for it to kind of just drop off, just simply because we live in a capitalist society and you can't do anything without having money. So that is why I have a job. Also just like general life experience and all that. What I'm saying to you is every single free chance I get, I'm trying to film. I do want to be here, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I love creating content personally, but I also love giving out to you guys. I love the response and everything like that. And I've missed it. But today's video is going to be a book haul. I just promised you guys this video a little while back. I have so many books to mention because I haven't filmed a book haul since the beginning of, now when would it have been, like I said, spring or something? I've got loads of books to mention. And for the sake of the fact that it's like 2:30 p.m. and the sun is basically setting, and the fact that I don't have a lot of time to film this because I have my one day off, please, it's like I'm struggling, and also I just don't have like enough space on my memory card and everything to film a video that long. Basically in January I'll be filming the second part of this video, which will have kind of the other 50% of the books I currently possess that I've bought recently, plus anything I get for Christmas / anything I buy for myself in the time between now and then. So yeah, without further ado, let's just go on to this video where I'm showing you this first kind of like 12 to 13 books that I bought recently. So the first book I have to mention is one that I've read already, and that is Velvet Was the Night by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This was a book that I read in July, I believe, and this is a book that actually Buddy read. I had a great time reading it due to that. Silvia Moreno Garcia generally writes thrillers, but this one is kind of more like a noir. So you definitely do get that kind of like dark, gritty noir feeling throughout this whole story. Overall, I think I gave it 3.5 stars. Like, I did enjoy it, obviously. There was elements to it that, like, Mete was a really annoying character. I didn't really like the love interest that much. Lots of different things going on. Just didn't like kind of hold my interest. It was good. It just wasn't great, so that's the reason why I gave it that rating. But this is not a review. I bought it for my friend and my friend bought it for me, and it's got these gorgeous like sprayed edges. We bought this in Waterstones. Honestly, like, the experience was made so much better by Buddy and reading it with someone else. I think otherwise I would have been a little bit bored by it. Next up I have a couple of books that I bought in Australia. I was actually going to originally do an Australia haul because I went there in July through to August, and I bought quite a few things, but I just didn't think you guys would be interested. Like, I had this like little group of books, but I also had like a couple of like random like clothing pieces and stuff like that. Basically the conclusion of that is that I didn't end up filming the video. So in terms of the books I got, I'll mention them now. So the first book was one that I received for my birthday, because I did have my birthday on July 16th, and my mum bought me a copy of Lapvona by Tessa Mushveg. This is a book I was so excited with, that like the fact I haven't read it yet is kind of shocking, but I did want to kind of sit down across like the winter period, maybe into the beginning of January if I can't get to it yet, because I do think this will be quite an atmospheric read for this time of year. Kind of historical fiction with elements of fantasy, and it's about a little medieval village and kind of the chaos within that. It's much more complicated than that, but I don't have time to kind of go into it. Mushveg wrote My Year of Rest and Relaxation, which is another book that I own but haven't read, and when I heard kind of like everyone hyped about this, I was very swayed and I decided to ask for it, and yeah, I'm very excited. I think I'm gonna really enjoy this. It just seems like, I was gonna say good vibes, but like the plot is kind of not good vibes, you know? It's like how you can appreciate like a really gory fantasy, but then you're not actually like appreciating the gory fantasy, you're appreciating the like gory fantasy. Does that make any sense? We did a lot of book shopping in terms of going into bookstores and browsing there, just because I wanted to check out the Australian scene. And I found My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell in there. It was on sale. I can't remember how much I paid, but it was really just like a stupidly cheap price, and especially for the hardcover. And I way prefer the kind of US edition, like the US cover, from the UK one. This is a very heavy book. It's kind of like a response to Lolita, and it's about a girl who has a relationship with a teacher when she's younger, and then it's kind of reflecting on that relationship years on. Her mindset shifts from thinking that like it was something that she was in love with this person to actually seeing that it was a relationship of abuse. I think it would be quite a lot to read, but I do think it's a really important read. And I've also heard that the language is really beautiful in terms of like a lyrical writing style and everything like that. So that was My Dark Vanessa. I've wanted to read that book for a while, so that was a great find. Next up, I found another one in the bookstore. This was in the bookstore attached to the Victoria State Library. I'm going to link the Australia vlog up here and down below if you guys are interested in watching it. This is Bodies of Light by Jennifer Down, and the reason why I bought this is because my mum and I were watching the news one night and this author was interviewed on there. They seem very like interesting and eloquent, and I was excited to read their book, and we found it in Reading's reduced price. I think it's again going to be quite like emotional and heavy. All of these literary fiction books with these like black and white photographs of people on the front cover, they're always super sad. This is also like long and big, but I do think that whenever I get around to it, it should be a good one, and I'll also pass on to my mum to read because we're both kind of interested in this one. Next up, I went to a Christian bookshop called Koorong. It's a really great one if you're ever in Australia and you're interested in that sort of thing. I found this book called Redeeming Love by Francis Rivers, which has actually been adapted into a film. So this is a Christian fiction book. It's not very like preachy or anything like that. It's just like it's based on a biblical story. I don't know anything about this other than it's like historical fiction, historical romance, and I'm kind of excited to go into it a little bit blind. I think it'll be really good. I mean, the majority of people I've heard who've read this book, it's now like one of my favorite ever books, and they give it 5 stars. And it has got this movie sticker, but like I can remove that. I just think that if I do end up really enjoying the film after I've read the book, I'm gonna want to keep that sticker there or use it in my journal or something. So it might be coming off, it might not be. So then when I got back from Australia, I was super jet lagged, and just like the traveling day was just disgusting. If you guys didn't know, like the trip to Australia is literal like 24 hours or something like that. I was really excited to come home to a birthday present package on my doorstep from my friend Leah, and she bought me a copy of Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. So Leah gave me 2 of the Russian classics, and these are like vintage classics editions. It's stunning. For Christmas she gave me Anna Karenina, and she gave me War and Peace. In July she added to my collection with Crime and Punishment. Dostoevsky is an author that I've been really interested in for a long time, particularly him, like not just as like a classic author. There's lots of things I've heard and seen about him that have interested me. My little brother has read a lot of Dostoevsky and really enjoys him too, so I do think that I'm going to really enjoy this one, as well as being absolutely beautiful, kind of allow you to digest the story a little bit better than you might do in other editions, just because they are printed like not with minuscule writing and they're nice to hold and everything like that. They make the effort and the attempt at reading a Russian classic much more realistic and less intimidating. In August I went to Paris with Abby, and we went to the Shakespeare and Company bookshop. I feel like now that I've taken so long between like each time I go to Paris, that every single trip has to involve a visit to that bookstore. I think it's stunning. So this was my 2nd time there, and of course when you're in that bookshop, or if you're in any bookshop abroad, you have to buy a book. So I bought Nadja by Andre Breton. Kind of a little bit of a sort of surrealist modern classic, hugely influential 1928 work from the father of surrealism. His meditation on, among other things, Nadja, a mysterious, unpredictable young woman with whom the narrator becomes obsessed after a chance encounter on the street. Nadja weaves a mysterious and compelling tapestry of daily life as seen through a uniquely magical perspective, and it's one of the most unusual love stories in literature, the quintessential surrealist romance. I've heard brilliant things about this, and I think this cover is also stunning. It's only a short little book, and I do think I'm going to really enjoy it, and I think it's going to be a really cool book to read. It's a bit of a different take on a novel, which I'm excited about. Then when I was in Australia, I bought On Sun Swallowing by Dakota Warren. She's a YouTuber, she's a booktuber basically, or an author tuber, whatever. She writes and she also loves to read. And she's written a poetry book, and I decided to order it when I was in Australia. It was printed through an Australian publisher, and the shipping would be much cheaper. The book didn't show up there. I had massive trouble trying to get hold of it. I basically just ordered it and it didn't arrive in time. Then I flew back to the UK and I was like, what am I going to do? This book's coming to Australia, so I contacted the company, I couldn't get in touch with them. It was a nightmare, but in the end they did end up sending me the book, and I read it basically within the first couple of days that I got it and loved it. It's On Sun Swallowing by Dakota Warren. Beautiful collection of poetry and prose. It's stunning. If you want to hear more about this, I did mention it in a wrap up, which I'll have linked here and down below, because we're running out of time in terms of the lighting. Here we have a charity shop book find. I found The Beautiful and the Damned by Scott Fitzgerald. So I've read a bunch of his work. I've read, I believe, 3 or 4 books. 4 books, I believe, from Fitzgerald. Don't know, I'm a bit rusty on that, but it's been a long time. I have been trying to collect all of his books in these Penguin and Modern Classics editions, and I found this one, which is one I didn't own in the charity shop. Don't know much about it other than it's about a couple, Anthony and Gloria, It's set during the 20s and it's just about their life, kind of living it up, I think, in New York City. It should be good. Why am I literally choking? Are they talking for too long? I'm dying. But we soldier on. I'm so sorry about this lighting. Let's see if I can do something about it. Did that make any difference? I feel like it didn't, but whatever. I'll just quickly speed on. The next book I have to mention is another one that I've read, and that is Carrie Solo's Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Again, it's mentioned the same wrap up as on Sun Swallowing. So if you guys want to hear my thoughts on this, you can go check that one out. Gave this 4 stars. It's definitely not my favourite Taylor Jenkins Reid book. In fact, it's my least favourite so far. But that's not to say I didn't enjoy it. I just was slightly disappointed for it having been written by an author who I've given like a lot of 5 stars to. This follows Carrie Solo. She's a tennis player, and it's about her comeback after a brief like kind of stint of retirement and her attempt to win back her titles. It's a lot about Carrie's kind of mental state in terms of like a life having been devoted to a sport and how she cannot live without that, and also about her relationship with her father, who's also a coach. I would recommend it, but it just didn't hit as hard as I hoped it would have. Next up, we have another charity shop book find and another Penguin Modern classic, and that's Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh. Don't know. This is set, I believe, in the 1920s. Golden age before the Second World War, so maybe the 1930s. I've heard a lot about this, but I don't know specifics about it. I believe there's a television show that my dad used to watch, and he used to enjoy that. I don't know. I literally don't know anything about this. It's set in Oxford. Interesting. Excited to get to this. I just love modern classics. They're one of my favourite types of books to read. Then we have another Taylor Jenkins Reid book, and that is One True Loves. I found this one again in the charity shop. What do I have to say about this? It's about a couple who get married. Husband goes missing after a helicopter crash, and the wife believes that he has died, so she eventually like grieves him and moves on with her life, falls in love again, remarries, or maybe gets engaged to someone, and then the husband, the first husband, turns up. He didn't die in the crash, he just was missing, and it's about what she does in that situation when she's met someone else she's fallen in love with, but she also has this person who she thought was like kind of the one. I'm not sure about Taylor Jenkins Reid's backlist because I haven't read any of it. From Daisy Jones, I was up to date with like new releases. I'm kind of interested to see like how much her writing's improved since this book. I do want to read like all the stuff she's ever written, so it's important to learn that one too. So the second to last book I have here is Bonjour, Tristesse by Françoise Sagan, I believe. Why did I say that in a French accent? It's another modern classic, Penguin Modern classic. You know me. Daughter and her father, and about the father's relationships with different people, and it's just like a little musing kind of, and it was very influential. There were so many scenes that were removed for the original publication that was written in the 1950s. A bit of a controversial work, but one that's kind of paved a new way for literature in terms of being like a little bit more candid with sex and love and things like that. I'm reading this one for a video, which I haven't filmed yet. I've been really wanting to film it, but I just need like a little bit of time. This will be one that I get to in 2023. I'm very excited to read it. I'm sure I will love it actually, because I've read the first couple of pages and I'm already absolutely hooked by the writing. It's stunning. So many beautiful descriptions. And then lastly, the very final book I have to mention in this first part of this book haul is The Idiot by Elif Batuman. This is the book I'm currently in the middle of. I bought it in New York because I love this US edition. So almost done. I only have under 100 pages, so about 90 pages left of this, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's about Selin. She's a Harvard student. Her kind of like infatuation with this boy called Ivan, who's from Hungary, but also studying at Harvard. But it's a lot to do with language and kind of Eastern European culture and things like that. They're in a Russian class, and that's how they originally meet. It's so much more than this kind of like unrequited love that Selin has for Ivan. A girl in her early 20s like trying to figure life out, and I just think that looking like a 5-star, honestly. I've loved kind of every single second of it. It's not told in chapters, it's kind of very fragmented. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this, but I will definitely mention it in a wrap up at some point, and it'll be in my final like end of the year wrap up, because I also want to have finished this book by the end of the year. I'm sure I'll go into a lot of depth in that video because, like I said, it's looking like a 5-star read. One of my favorites of the year. Yeah, what a great positive note to end this video off on. I'll see you guys hopefully next week for another video. I have this coming weekend off. It's currently Monday, and I'm hoping to film more videos then. Hopefully by this time next week you'll have another one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you all, and I appreciate you kind of giving me this time to figure things out. This is the first time I've kind of been working a job that had so little time off, and it's a struggle, I'll tell you that. I don't have like regular weekends either, or I don't have regular days off throughout the week. It's kind of a bit sporadic. But if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to stick around, and see you guys next time. Bye.